We will try and keep ourselves in a mute mode while our guest speaker is addressing the forum. At the end of the session, before 15 minutes, we'll unmute ourselves or use the Zoom chat box for our queries. We'll try to address as many questions as we can. Well, today's session is for our parents. So we welcome you all to the hashtag New Normal 2020 Wellness and Wellbeing webinar series brought to you by Shomit Roy Foundation. Shomit Roy Foundation works towards making education available for all. Everybody is not privileged, aiding meritorious students with financial difficulties. Coming back to the topic for today's webinar is parenting and child psychology. And we have with us Dr. Jessina Baker from God's own country, Kerala, a counseling psychologist, a parenting consultant for over a decade. Dr. Baker is an author, a columnist. She appears in TV talk shows. Join me in welcoming our guest speaker, Dr. Jessina Baker. Without further ado, I would hand over the platform to Dr. Baker. Thank you and happy learning. Dr. Baker, it's all yours.
Welcome to all from Kolkata, and here I'm from Kerala. We have Kerala and Calcutta have a lot in common in terms of our rich literature, in terms of our love for fish. We are coastal. Now, let's see how much we probably have common in terms of parenting. But having said that, parenting is different for different people. And I'm very happy and glad that so many of you have signed in for this webinar for the single reason that parenting matters to you. You have taken time from your busy schedule to schedule this webinar so that you will know a lot more about parenting. Parenting has seen a lot of difficult times during this lockdown, and I'm so glad for this venture by the Adamas International School. One thing I always say about parenting is parenting should be mindful parenting. That means you need to be aware of your parenting. Parenting doesn't just happen. Children don't just grow. The difference is you raise them, which means you have to put in your time and effort to parent so that we can build a better generation. Couple of months back, it was before lockdown, I was in a supermarket. I was purchasing something in a supermarket, and I heard this little girl, maybe her age is 3 or 4, the age where we talk about tantrums, okay, toddler tantrums. Toddler tantrums are actually in the 2s and 3s, but then the tantrums could go on for a lot longer. So she wanted lace. So she said, I want lace. So the mother said, no. Then she reached for the lace packet and said, I'm taking it. So the mother still said, no. Then she started crying, very loud, that she was drawing attention. So she said, the child said, I want this lace. So the mother said, calm down, Jennifer. So the child kept crying, I will take this lace. Mother said nothing. So somewhere around the aisle, even I was sort of behind them. And the next thing I see is the child is literally having a rolling over tantrum, which is a very, very typical thing of the toddlers. They're all there on the ground, causing embarrassment to the parents and to the people who are watching. So she started rolling and she said, I want lace. So the mother looked at her and said, calm down, Jennifer. Again, the mother picked up the child, held the child on her. We carry the child godi mein. The mother took the child on the godi mein and walked towards the counter. And then the child picked up, if you don't give me this lace, I'll pick up that, there was some, what do you call that, chiclet kind of thing? Tic-tac. I'll pick this up. The mother said, looked at the child, and mother again sighed and said, calm down, Jennifer. Then she paid the bill. I was right behind her. She pushed the trolley. The child is yelling, I want lace. The child was yelling, okay. So outside, I was waiting for the valet to bring my car. She was waiting for her car. And then I just looked at Jennifer and I said, "Hi, Jennifer," the little one, who was in the trolley by then. So the mother looked at me and said, "Hi, I'm Jennifer. That's my daughter, Anne." She said that, she got into her car and she went. As I was driving, I kept thinking, what did the mother just do? The child was having a tantrum while the mother was calming herself. Whenever she said, "Calm down, Jennifer," she was calming down herself, not the child. That's why she was like, "Calm down, Jennifer." And she was really calm. The child was having a tantrum. The child was yelling, screaming, rolling on the ground. But the mother, all that the mother kept saying is, "Calm down, Jennifer." Because the mother knew that to handle that tantrum of the little child, the mother had to be calm herself. Now that is mindful parenting. Parenting is about parenting yourself. You cannot parent the child from the current behavior you have, or you cannot parent from the norms or rules or disciplines or regulations, whatever has been handed down from your parents, the way you have been parented. You cannot parent your child the way you've been parented, because generation has changed, the outlook has changed, perspective has changed, including technology has changed. So you need a new set of parenting for your child. And that's where you have to be mindful. Anytime you see a tantrum, what are we tempted to do? We pick up the child, we hit the child, we yell at the child. And you know what happens when such tantrums happen? Okay, the child becomes more stubborn. The other thing we do is, if we slightly feel that the child is going to go burst into a tantrum, immediately we get that lace for the child. So now the child knows that if I yell and scream, the mother will stretch this much. So next time what the child will do, the child will yell a little more, because the child wants both the lace and the tic tac. So in order not to be embarrassed, the mother, what is she going to do? She will buy the lace and the tic tacs. So what are we raising? We are raising a stubborn child. We are not raising a child who knows that when it is someone saying, "Can't hear me," you can't hear me? Should I be louder? Okay, I continue a little louder. So when there is a tantrum, we first calm ourselves. You cannot both have a tantrum at the same time. That's what I say. In parenting, what happens when the child is having a tantrum and you yell at the child or you beat the child, you both are having tantrum at the same time. Now you decide, should the child have the tantrum or should you have the tantrum? You need to be mindful. You need to be calm. You need to be that calm Jessina, calm Jennifer. So then in that calmness only, it will come to your head, to your mind, what should I do at this point of time to calm my child? If I am not calm, I hit the child. Or what I do is, in order to save the embarrassment, what I do is, I give the child the lace, I give the child the TikTok, and children are very smart. So this time you cry for the lace, cry louder for the tic tac. Third time, roll on the ground. For me, it's very embarrassing that everybody's looking at me. Everybody's looking at you. They don't know you. But if you succumb to that tantrum, you will raise a child who's stubborn. And if you don't want that, be mindful, be calm, calm yourself first, always be in the calm. And trust me, another aspect of mindful parenting, when we go to the next level. Now, this is a toddler tantrum level, the third 3 years, the 4 years. Now, when we go a little up, and from then till your child is 25, 30, 40-year-old, what is more important in mindful parenting is the way you communicate. The single most important thing that can break or make a parenting is the communication. Now, before we go into communication, one aspect is very important, that parenting is a partnership. Okay. It's not just a mother who's parenting. It's not just a mother who's disciplined. The father has to come in too. It is a partnership. You have to work in tandem. Okay, you have to work in tandem. You have to be on the same page with discipline. Quite often when the mother is disciplining, we see the child, the smart child, running to the father. Why? Because the father is a lenient parent. But the parents have to be very clear on the rules and regulations that you're setting at home. Love is a different thing. Whatever the rule and regulation you're setting at home has to be same for both the parents. Okay. So be very mindful that when you are setting a particular kind of time, you're setting a time for the TV, you're setting a time for the game on the internet, or you're setting a time to play out, or or you're setting a date for eating junk food, both the father to be on the same page. If the mother says no today, and where to get the thing out. So parenting is a partnership. You both has to be in the same book. Now we have to be inclusive in parenting too. We are having a lot of single mothers around the country, which includes me also. When it is a single parent and the other partner, the other parent is not involved at all, then you're fine because everything goes your way. But when it is a single parent and you have two parents in two different localities, in two different homes, again, at least for the sake of your child, for the sake of good parenting, have an amicable relationship as parents. Even if you don't want to maintain a friendship, and that's your choice. But as parents, try to communicate amicably to each other so that you are on the same page. Okay, so parenting is a partnership. So let us go to how we communicate with children. We are talking about, I was told parents are till the age of 8, your child's age will be to 8. So let's talk about how you parent, how you communicate with your child up to the age of 8. And this holds good for all the children up to 18 also. Number one thing you have to do in parenting, communications, when you are talking to your child, always make sure you're at a same physical level. Quite often, the parent is standing, the child is sitting. Because of the height difference, you see a difference in tone, because most of the time, the person who stands could have an upper tone, and it could seem like you are dominating the child. Okay, at no point of time we are dominating the child. We are parents. We are parents, and we are in a more respectable position that we always talk about. But the respect is not commanded. The respect is through the parenting you do. You cannot command respect by telling child, you have to respect me because I'm your mother. You have to respect me because I'm your father. It's your behavior that gives you that respect. So when you are starting to communicate with your child, ensure you are at the same height. Suppose your child is 2 or 3-year-old, put the child on your lap and communicate so that the height is same. Or if your child is a little grown up, then let's sit on the same bed, or sit on the same couch, sit on the same floor or on the chair, that your height level matches. And why is it important for the height level to match? Because you need to give eye contact. When you're talking to your child, you need to give eye contact. So when you're standing up, when you look down, you may not be giving eye contact. So if you are on the same height with your child, sitting or standing, whichever position you are, it's easy for you to give eye contact. Ideally, sit and talk, because till the child grows up, you are in 2 different heights. Okay. For the eye contact, it's very, very important that you give an eye contact. Always remember that children may not open up to you. Okay. They are still studying communication, so they may not easily open up to you. So you need to create situations where the child opens up to you. Find small instances to talk, little topics to talk. Create those instances and start communication. Because for a child till 8-year-old, you're not talking about big things. You're not talking politics, economics, or big matters of the family. You're talking small things that matter to them. Okay, all your communication should be something that matters to them. So get down to their eye level, give them an eye contact, and then start talking. Quite often, children like it when you stroke them, the body touch. If you want them to listen to you, take them in a hug, hold their hands and talk, sit beside them, put your hands on their lap and talk, because this is very, very important. The stroke that they receive, the touch that they receive is very warm for them and gives them the feeling that they are wanted, that they're important. As much as you give the eye contact, the body touch, the contact is very, very important. Hugs are important. Even if you're not communicating, the hugs are important. When you're just walking, hold their hands. They feel very good about it. Put them on your lap. touch their hands, give them a stroke, pat them at the back when they do well. Why do we say, give a pat on the back when someone is doing very well? Because that stroke of patting is very important. So as much as the eye contact is important, so is as touch and stroke. Whenever you talk to the children, don't say, hey, you, and things like that. If you have a pet name, very good, because that makes them feel very close to you. Otherwise, use their name. But without using name, you say, hey, you, come here. You boy, you girl. It's very disrespectful. They like it when you are referring to them by their name, because that is a mark of respect for the person. Okay, so even that you like to be called by name, so use that. Always keep the communication very simple. Don't complicate it, because they are only that age. They will not understand the complexities. And never tell them that it's not for your age. You will not understand. Anything that they ask for, age specific, make them understand. It may not be an age where you can explain to them, make them understand, but don't leave them in the dark saying it's not for your age. You will not understand, because then the child will stop coming and asking you for things. We need to keep the communication channel open all the time. Only if you give them answers to all their questions will they come back to you. Children will ask you hundreds of questions, 400. It is known that, 4-year-old could even ask up to 400 questions a day because of the curiosity. So if we stop answering them, their curiosity also stops them. Then they learn through curiosity. They learn through the experiences we speak to them about. Some are their own experience. Some are the experience we talk to them. So, tell them, to their age specific, when they ask something, never tell them, you will not understand this. So the conversation, keep it very simple. Use the vocabulary they know in the language that is most comfortable to them. Ideally, we in psychology say that at home, preferably use the mother tongue, because that brings out an attachment. Okay. There is nothing like a time for communication. In adults, we have a time for communication. We have a coffee time. We have an early morning tea time when we communicate. But the children like it very light and casual conversation. So we call it in-between times. Maybe when you and the child are playing something. Maybe you both are playing Ludo. You are playing snake and ladder. You can use that time to speak about winning, losing, how to have healthy competition. This is how I used to play competition in my school. During in-between things, you can have conversations. When you're taking the child for an ice cream while you're driving, when you're taking the child to a park, when you're standing at the bus stop with the child, you can have in-between small communication about what you have see around. You can talk about the birds. You can talk about the nature. Keep that kind of communication happening, because if you develop this communication that side, it's like you build a bridge to the child. Then the child will use the same bridge to communicate back to you. We need to prepare them for a future where everything is communicated. Parenting is easy when you communicate to your child, and it is also easy when the child communicates to you. Otherwise, we start complicating things. And this is the ideal time to start your communication. And when they start talking, all what we said till now is when you talk. When they talk, listen. Active listening. And for that active listening, the eye contact is important. Don't be looking at the mobile, or don't be busy doing something else when the child is talking. Now, for instance, I am talking to you, but what if I look there and talk? I'm looking at this place and talk, and I'm looking here and talking. Am I connecting with you? No. Then you think, oh, where is she looking? What is that she's looking at? What is more important to her than what is going on here, right? That's your thought, because you have taken your time to come here. And if I don't give you an eye contact, your thought is what is more important than that. Similarly, when the child starts talking, keep away your mobile, keep away everything else you're doing, switch off from everything, switch off everything from the world and switch on to the child. Because in our day-to-day life, the life is very busy. Child is in the school, we are at work or we are at home, and we are so busy to the that we get very less time to communicate. And during that time, let it be a quality communication. So switch off from the rest of the things and just sit before the child, listen, give eye contact. And when the child is talking, most important thing, don't interrupt. They don't like to be interrupted. Okay, quite often we are tempted to say, oh, that's why you worried about that. So simple, no? But you see, their stories are from their age. You have crossed that age and it is simple for you, but it's big for them. So we need to look at their stories and their problems from their eye, okay? From how big it is in their eye. If it is very big for them, I fought with my best friend today. Give your full attention. And he hit me, I pulled him. Give your full attention. Fight is a daily thing. As adult today also you're fighting. So it's no big deal, but to the child, it's very important. And why do you think the child is coming and telling you? Because it's very important for the child that you listen. May not be to give a solution. The child doesn't want you to tell her that, no, that's okay, big deal, tomorrow you'll be friends. The child knows that very well, he'll go back tomorrow and be friends. But the child wants you to listen because it's a very important thing that happened to the child in the school. So when the child is talking, listen, active listening with your eye contact, preferably again back on the same height as the child. And then the child will give you his or her undivided attention when you're talking, because you have to set the communication etiquette. These are all communication etiquette. Okay. Sometimes as adults, we have forgotten all this. As adults, when your friend is talking, we have this habit of interfering and telling, we are conversational narcissists, we say that, because when somebody is conversing, we like to dominate the conversation. And I actually like Zoom because of that, because when I'm talking, everybody else is muted. So I'm talking and you're doing active listening. So when the child is talking, do active listening, give eye contact, nod your head. And one thing you can do is, like, the child comes and says that I had a big fight with my friend at school. You had a fight? That's all. Repeat what the child is saying. Don't ask, why did you have a fight? Who asked you to fight? You're always fighting. No, that's not what the child wants to hear. It's like, oh, you had a fight. As simple as that. Okay. Empathize with their child. See things from their perspective. Check out for their body language. Sometimes, how do we know that the child is in a confusion? How do we know that the child is trying to say something but not achieving it? Or how do you know that the child is probably lying or making up his body language? Okay, very clearly you can identify from the body language if the words are matching the body language. Okay, check out for body language. Look at the eyes. Is there sadness in the eyes? Is the anger raising up? Understand a lot more from the body language of the child. This is very important, because when you want to help the child, solve a problem or something, these come into work. Then, when the child is finished, you can give a feedback, and you can together sit and solve the problem. But after hearing everything the child says, because children like direction. Okay, they like to be told. Like, for instance, a child comes and tells you that they had a big fight. You can say that is you and your friend can fix it. But if I was in your place, maybe this is what I would have done. Now, don't say the child was wrong. Don't say the friend was wrong, because we want the child herself to decide if she was wrong or the friend was wrong, for her to go and apologize. You can say, if I had a fight with my friend and if I was wrong, next day I would go apologize. But if I had a fight with my friend and my friend was wrong, I would go and tell my friend, yesterday you were wrong. You continue the friendship, but let the fight be there. So you can say what you would have done in that situation, but don't tell the child that the child was wrong or right. Leave it to the child. Okay, that way we help develop an independent child who can start making small decisions in life, leading to big decisions in life. These are the ways you can, model communication with the child. Always remember that when you have two children at home, you cannot treat the two children alike in terms of communication. Because the way one child receives communication may not be the way the other child receives communication. Now, like I said, we said we can have in-between conversations. Okay, one child may be okay with the in-between conversation, while the other child may like it very light, not preachy, just passing. The child may not like sitting and talking. The child will feel very threatened that, why am I sitting and talking? I feel like I'm in a principal's room, that I've been cornered and I've been told about my mistake. So if you have 2 children or 3 children, the way you communicate to each of them will be different, primarily because we communicate to people, to children, anybody, the way they receive communication. We don't communicate to them the way we receive communication. How do they receive communication? It's your child. If you observe your child for even a day or two, you will know how the child would wish to receive communication. How? Because the child will show you how the child is communicating. From the way the child communicates to you, you will know, okay, this is how the child will receive communication, because I communicate the way I will receive communication. Okay, for a simple thing, I can tell you that I talk very fast. So when someone talks slow, there is a tendency for me to miss the communication, because my concentration would just go. When I talk fast, I can easily communicate fast and I can understand a person who talks fast, but I may not be able to follow a person who talks slow because my talk is fast. So we can understand, I'm just talking about the pace here. You can understand the way a child will receive communication by the way the child communicates to you. There are some children who don't like to be communicated to by the end of the day when they are tired. There are so many of us who come back from office and we don't like communication at that time because we want to rest for some time. Children are exactly like that. But if the child comes back and you keep asking, how was the exam today? How was the teachers today? Did anyone scold you? Did anything happen in the bus? What if the child doesn't want to communicate at that time? The child will say, no, everything is okay, like this, he'll go. But if the child likes to be communicated as soon as come by, yeah, today, you know what happened, mama? You know, so you will know exactly that, tell you exactly how you should treat them, not just communication. In everything else, you can learn if you observe your own child. You don't need an external expert to tell you how your child wants you to treat the child. So for different child, you will engage in different styles of communication. The communication is not like, medication once a day, or you take your vitamin D once a month, something like. No, communication is constant and continuous. Once a child is born, that time the child may not have. From there, we start communicating. That's how we develop communication with the child. It doesn't happen once a day. It's a constant procedure. So with everything, if you start communicating, why I'm stressing communicating is, I will tell that later. If you constantly start communicating with your child, the child will communicate back with you. And in this present day, communication is very important. Let me mention this also. Last week in Kerala, we saw suicide. Okay, death by suicide by 3 children who are in high school. Okay, and the reason had nothing to do with academics. The reason had nothing to do with love failure. The reason had nothing to do with anything external. The reason had everything to do with the way parents had communicated and miscommunicated and failed. Okay, so I was called on the national channel and the Malayalam channel to talk about where it went wrong in parenting. It ideally went wrong in parenting because none of these children have any history of failing exam, any failed love affair or anything, but it only had the history of parents miscommunicating. They had just miscommunicated minutes before the child died by suicide. How do you think a 12-year-old, 13-year-old have the guts to hang herself on the ceiling? How do you think a 13 or 12-year-old has an equipment to do that? Because suddenly when the miscommunication happened, the child, something affects the psyche of the child. Why didn't the parent know that? That wouldn't have been the first time the child has reacted so badly. Because one child, one of the child who suicided had an issue with the parent when the parent said, snatched away the mobile when the child was online. So once before that, the child left the house and went, and they brought the child back from the neighbor's house or somewhere. And the child said, I will only come back if you promise me that you will not scold me when I reach home. So the parents promised and brought the child back home. But a week from there, again, another problem happened. The parents scolded their child, miscommunicated with the child, big loud noise, snatched away their mobile. The child went and just committed suicide. Why did the parents snatch away the child? Because it was prayer time. The child had already promised, asked the parents to promise that you will not scold me. Now, you can take this as, you can ask, you may be tempted to ask the question, why are our children so weak? My question back to you is, why are we raising our children so weak? We are raising our children. Like I said, they don't grow up. We raise them. So if we've raised them and they've become weak and they wanted to, bring death to them by suicide, how did we raise them so weak? How come we were not around to tell them that if any problem happened, come to me? So communication is important. And when I spoke to one of the relatives, not spoke on the camera, on the TV, and they spoke and said, no, we are such poor, we are poor people. We are so busy making a livelihood. The husband and I'm making a livelihood. We never had this time to talk to our children. And like you're saying all these things, we don't know how to talk. Okay. Well, I empathize with those parents because they're trying to make ends meet. But how come we are raising weak children? We always blame it on this generation, saying that this generation is very weak. The children are very weak. No, we are raising them weak. We can raise them strong. We can show we are strong. We can talk to them about having strength. We can give them good communication that I am here. Anytime I'm here, come to me. We will solve the problem. But most of the time what we do is we show our solution through anger, through beating them. And then one of the suicide happened because the parent beat the child. The child locked herself in the room, never came out. The parent didn't go back and check on the child after beating. The parent realized the child is in the room after hours. By the time the child had gone, left this world. You beat the child. Well, I'm not an advocate of beating, okay? I'm not at all an advocate of beating. You say something to the child, go check on your child. Ensure the child is okay. Sometimes we have to go back and say sorry. That is also a form of communication because we're teaching the child to be apologetic. I think it is very wrong to beat the child. So if you have beaten a child, shed your ego and tell, I'm very sorry. I shouldn't have beaten you. Sit, talk to the child. Next time, I won't do that. And if I do that, alert me. You have the responsibility, alert me. So we will work this out together. We will see how you can stop me from beating you. We will also see how you will stop yourself from doing something that makes me beat you. So it's like a give and take. It's like a communication between the parent that you do something, I get angry. So we'll stop you from doing something. At the same time, you will stop me from getting angry. So it's like a partnership there. Develop that kind of communication with your child. Develop that kind of bonding with your child. Somewhere we have missed out communicating with children. Somewhere we have stopped bonding with our children. We have to encourage emotional literacy in our children. India, as a country on a whole, is very backward in emotional literacy in children. We as adults, we talk about romantic love. We express anger. I think that's about most of the emotions that we communicate. We express romantic love, we express anger. That's it. There are so many other emotions that we don't encourage. Develop emotional literacy in your child. Just say, for example, just sit with your child and see if the child is able to communicate about an incident that happened or the entire day in the school. Let the child bring out emotions. Oh, I got scared when I saw the bus speeding by me. I got very angry. All those emotions when the child speaks, develop that in the child. It's very important for the child to have emotional literacy so that as a child grows up, it becomes many forms of expression. Otherwise, it's just one form of expression, romantic love, and the other form of expression, anger. There are so many other expressions. See to that when the child expresses emotionally, you empathize with the child without scolding the child. Always try to discuss solutions with the child when the child brings about such anecdotes. For that, to bring about that mindful parenting, first we parents have to check out that, do we have this kind of emotions? Do we speak about this kind of emotions? Is it okay that we tell that if the child is sad, it's okay to be sad. The child is angry, it's okay to be angry. But what we have to do is when the child is sad, how we help the child to, come out of that sorrow and then get into the next mode. It is okay to be sad. You can remain sad. There's nothing wrong in being sad because you can't be happy 24/7, right? So it's okay to be sad. But how do you overcome that sadness? Suppose your child is angry. It is okay to be angry. It's an emotion. But how do you channelize that anger? You don't hit the anger down because then that just bottles in you and one point it'll burst. How do you channelize that anger? These are the things that you have to work on each other through communication. You can talk to the child, but it has to be modeled at home. Are you throwing things when you get angry? Are you hitting anybody when you get angry? If you're doing that, you can never help your child channelize anger. Are you hiding your tears when you feel sad? It's okay to cry. So when child is crying, it's okay to cry. Just sit with the child. The child is crying. You don't have to say, no, 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 don't cry. Wipe away your tears. I always say, we say in psychology, don't wipe other person's tear. Don't give handkerchief, because that's a natural emotion. Let it flow. After the whole thing is over, you can sit and ask, do you want me to talk to you? Is there anything I can help you? Ask the child that. That is how you build up emotional literacy in a child. How did you just feel? What made you cry? So after crying, did you feel good? Now that is developing emotional literacy in the child. Children, they have this dramatic way of saying superficial details. Listen to it. They don't have refined communication like us. They don't edit their words like us. They will say, it was huge, it was magnanimous, it was magnificent. They'll have so many adjectives to describe one thing. Enjoy that, because after some time they edit their words. They'll have few words. They'll be full time looking at the laptop and the mobile, and you will have no way to help them out. So when they are doing that, it's fine. That's an age for them to do that. Encourage that. There is nothing difficult. There's nothing wrong in that. Sometimes you see that children have difficulty in saying something. They're not able to, they're looking for words. Ask questions. Are you trying to say this? Are you looking for this word? Just give inputs of words or questions, and they will talk more to you. Don't cut it off because, oh, he's not getting the word. He's not, okay, just leave it and go. It's mindful parenting. It's mindful communication. Now, when you have to communicate to your child, it's love, right? You're communicating love. But you also need to know how a child receives love. You are giving love, fine. But do you know how your child wants to receive love? There is 5 ways a child receives love, like to receive love, okay? The same, if you know that way, then it is very easy to communicate with the child. First way is that the child likes physical love. Hug the child, kiss the child, pamper the child, hug and sleep, hold the child, stroke the child. It's a physical expression of love. They like it. And how do you know if the child likes physical love? The child will come and hug you. The child will want to stay near you. The child will want your touch. The child will be standing next to you maybe when you're cooking. The child will be sitting next to you when you're working. Always say, oh, hug me, I huggy. Will come and hug you at the back. Don't say, hey, get lost, I'm doing something else now. That's a sign for you that is how the child receives love. So if you want to start good relationship with communicating with the child, that child will listen to you better if you take the child in a hug, or if you hold the child's hand, or if you just touch the child. That particular child of yours will receive communication faster that way, because the child feels love at that point of time. Another word is second one. First is physical love. Second one is words of affirmation. A child likes to hear, I love you. I care for you. And how will you know if the child likes to hear that? The child will come and say, oh, I love you, mama. I love you, papa. If the child says that, always say, I love you. I care for you. And the minute the child starts saying this, understand that that's the way the child likes to receive love. So your love should always have words of affirmation. I love you. You mean a lot to me. You're the best in the world. You're my best child. You are my Superman. These words of affirmation, the child takes it very, very seriously. The third one is the child likes you to spend quality time with the child. You would often hear, come sit with me, talk to me sometime. The child is watching me, come and sit with me, see the cartoon with me, see what that character is doing. Come and sit with me. And how will you know that? Because a child will come and park herself next to you while you're doing work. You may not have to talk into the child. You may not have to say, I love you to the child. You may not have to hug the child. The child will just come and sit next to you, because the child wants to spend quality time with you. So when the child is always lingering around you without hugging you or saying, I love you, understand that the child wants quality time with you. Physical love, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts. Okay, all children like to receive gifts. Okay, but If you see that the gifts are particularly important to the child, then the child likes to receive love through gifts. And it's not that the child is materialistic, okay? It's not the child is materialistic. That's the way the child is. And how will you know that? On your birthday, that even if the child has no pocket money, you will see that he will go to the garden and, you know, make a rose and bring it for you. Or he will just wrap up something very old and give it to you. That particular child of yours, for that particular child of yours, giving gift will be very important to you on your birthday or on your anniversary, or just like that Mother's Day, Father's Day, all the days he or she will pack some gift and give it to you. So you know that gifts are important to that child. So you can express your love through gift. And don't take it as a child is materialistic, and by giving gifts you are spoiling the child. You can give the gift meaningful gifts. Like suppose you were planning to buy a Ludo, or you were planning to buy a Harry Potter book for the child. Instead of just going to the shop and buying it, buy it, gift wrap and give it. The same thing you were planning to do. Okay, you were planning to buy and give it, gift wrap and give the child. And if it is a gift, it means a lot to the child. So the fifth way a child receives love is through acts of service. Acts of service means something that you do for the child. For example, the child's bike, okay, the cycle gets spoiled, or maybe a game that the child is getting spoiled, and if you fit it for them, the child is very happy. Okay, so you will also see that the child does such things for you. Suppose something of yours goes wrong, or something falls down of yours, or something is moved out from the table. You will see that this particular child of yours will come quickly and do that service for you. Now, there is a big line between doing everything for your child and making the child depend on you. No, acts of services are, you know, the things that means a lot to the child. So do that particular thing. The rest, you can make the child independent and do. So first thing is physical love. That's how the child receives love. Second is words of affirmation. Third is the quality time. 4 is gifts. And 5 is acts of services. Figure out how your child is receiving love. Bring that into your life so that you can give love that way and communicate that way. So again, how does mindful parenting work, and why is very important that you fix yourself and be mindful before you fix your child? Let's go back to the flight. Okay, we get into a plane. Okay, now with lockdown, most of us may not be traveling, but otherwise you sit before the flight takes off. The air hostess will start the instructions. So there is an instruction that says, in case of emergency, oxygen mask will fall from top and you have to fix it on it, and they will say pull it here, fix it, and all that. In that, they give one particular instructions. If you are traveling with a child or an elderly person, ensure that you fix your oxygen mask first before you fix the other person's, because unless and until you breathe, you can't help the other person breathe. By the time you're fixing the oxygen mask for the other person, you may not have finished doing that. You might just give away because you don't have oxygen. But at the same time, if you fix that oxygen mask, you can help both the children and even an adult sitting next to you. That's why even in parenting, it is very, very essential that you become calm yourself. You become mindful yourself before you parent your child, or before you calm your parent. Always, you calm your child. Always remember that you have to be calm. I always have to remember that. Calm down, Jasina. I have to calm myself so that I can calm my child. My child may be having a tantrum. My child may be angry. My child may be getting aggressive. Okay, so first I need to fix the oxygen mask on me, calm down myself, pull my breath down so that I'm in a balanced mental state. Only if I'm in a balanced mental state, I can identify what exactly my child wants at that point of time. So before we wind up, we are exactly at 4:44. I said we will take questions at 4:45. So we can begin to take questions now, and then I will wind up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Baker. It was such an enriching session. In fact, we learned so much, the 5 points that you mentioned, and very rightfully said that, you know, what you just mentioned just right now is calming ourselves down is the first step to move forward. So now we will, invite questions. Just
Yes.
unmute yourself and introduce and ask questions. Or if you're not comfortable, use the Zoom chat box. Drop in your question there so that we can answer. Parents, Dr. Baker doesn't come with us every day. So this is our opportunity, and we have so many questions in our mind.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
I can hear.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear.
Am I audible?
Yes,
sir.
you're audible.
Okay. Thank you, doctor, for the beautiful speech on the child psychology. It's really helpful. And I'm really glad to Mr. Shomit Roy for arranging this fantastic event for us. And my question is, doctor, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and sometimes she wants to do such kind of thing that I know it would be a harm of her. So I am trying to stopping her, but she try to do again and again. So that time, what I need to do? I just wanted to know that.
First of all, you need to make her understand how it is going to harm her. Okay. You need to make her understand what will be the repercussions of doing something harmful. Or maybe one time you can do with her and show her how it is going to be harmful. I mean, it's not something that will take away her, peace of mind or sleepless night or something that will physically harm her. But if you think, sometimes we say, many times we ask a child, don't touch the fire, don't touch the fire. And the child will go back and touch the fire. Sometimes we just want to stand back and say, okay, touch the fire and see how it burns. Okay. So similarly, sometimes we have to, if repeatedly telling the child not to do, okay, they don't like to hear that word no and don't. So either we distract them with something better, or we have to sit and talk to them the repercussions. Now we have a lot of videos to show them what will happen if they do that. Or sometimes we have to sit with them, wait for that experiment to happen, let them experience it, and then we talk to them about, why she shouldn't have done that. Either of these three has to work. If it is a small fire and all, even I've let my daughter touch the candle. Many times I told my daughter, don't touch the candle, it'll burn. She didn't listen. So I sat back one day and then she touched the candle and I said, what happened? So I said, this is exactly what happens. So sometimes if it's small things and all, we let them experience it, because several times saying their mind is so curious. They just don't feel that, because we say, see, parents taste too many no's. Okay. One day sit and calculate how many no's you have told your child, and calculate how many yes you have told your child. Hardly few yes and everything will be no. Okay. So everything is no for them. So they think, oh, what big deal, let me do this. So if you can sit and explain to them and can understand, good. If you cannot, let us sit with them and experience and see how far it goes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dr. Baker, we have a question at the chat box, which says, how do I make my child more attentive in his study?
Okay. Now, that's a very wide area. How old is the child?
6.
Okay, the child is 6-year-old. Okay. 6-year-old, up to 6-year-old, we generally say.
Ma'am, sorry, there are two people. One is saying it's 8-year-old, another lady is saying that it's 13-year-old. So there are two kids of two different age groups. Okay,
let's handle that 8-year-old. Till 8 and all, it's very difficult for us to bring them to attention. If you're talking about attention in studies, if they don't like studies, then we are actually forcing them to bring their attention to something that they do not like. How attractive can you make studies? The more attractive that you can make studies at home, because school goes in a set pattern. In the school, everybody studies alike, but if you want to make the child more attentive at home, get in some very interesting way of teaching them. For that, you have to do the hard work. You cannot just tell the child, sit there and study, because the child is already coming from school with a lot of many hours of work. So if you want the child to sit attentively at home, there should be some creative way for the child to study, so that when the child is sitting there, there'll be some creativity involved in the subjects. Okay, for that, you have to figure out how to be creative. That is for the 8-year-old. Now, for 13-year-old, be more attentive in the sense, like, there are two things when we talk about attention. Okay, there is this psychiatric disorder which we call attention deficiency hyperactivity disorder. That is, if the child is not attending at all and very hyperactive, okay, then it is a disorder. Other things are all just natural lack of attention. If it is a natural lack of attention, you need to figure out where is a distraction. Where are you providing so much distraction at home that the child is not serious enough to sit and attend in the studies? There should be a set pattern at home that, yes, we have playtime, we have studies time, and these two are equally important and equally we are serious about it. So you need to spend time to make the child sit and be attentive, get the child in the study mode. Yes, there will be play also. It also depends upon how much time you are spending with the child to ensure that the child is comfortable to attend to the classes. One thing is laziness is one thing, but laziness is there in most of the child, but we can help them out. Do we know why they are not attending? Is it because of the lack of interest for some subject, because they don't understand the subject? Have they understood the subject? Or maybe they don't want to be sitting in the night and study. Maybe it's an early bird child who wants to get up in the morning and study, and you're forcing the child to sit in the night and study. Figure out at what time of the day the interest is there. Find out these kind of little nuances which the child is facing difficulty with. Maybe the child is not interested because can't understand anything in the subject. Then you need to give special attention there. Bring in again some interesting mode of studies for the child. Get the child to do small fun things, some small interesting projects at home, so that you can bring in interest in the child. This is for the 13-year-old. Next question.
Next question, please.
Yeah, someone said something. My daughters, okay, there is a question from, my daughters sometimes become furious and starts throwing things. Otherwise, she's an obedient and sincere in her studies and other works. But the few minutes, it becomes difficult to control her. After 10 minutes, she becomes normal. Okay, she starts, see, ideally, some of the behavior, okay, I'm not blaming the parent here. Some of the behavior is like throwing things and throwing anger could be modeled behavior either from home or from friends or from a movie. They have seen that it is okay to throw things when I'm angry. I'm not saying only from home. It could be from the school where the friends are throwing things. It could be from a movie they're throwing things. Okay. Does the child have an anger issue? If the child has an anger issue, then we have to deal with that separate. Or is the child just modeling a behavior to get attention? Sometimes the child is saying something, you do not listen to the child, then the child throws something, gets angry to get the attention. So as the child says something, okay, anger issue, are you giving attention to the child when the child is seeking your attention? Is the anger issue mod? Yes, you are giving. How to restrict use? 1 minute, I'll come back to that after this. Is it modeled behavior? Is it there in the house? Is it there among peers? Is it there in the movies that they see? You need to tell the child there are other ways of taking out your anger. You don't throw things. It is not acceptable. You don't hit. It's not acceptable. You don't self-harm, because a lot of children, when they cannot hit others, they hit themselves, self-harm. It is not acceptable. Okay. And you should also, when the child is angry, sit with the child. When the child calms down, you ask the child, what made that child behave like that? And why it was satisfactory that you threw thing, and what gave you the satisfaction without a threatening tone. Okay, it's not like a CBI question, very tone. What made you raise your voice, and how did it help you when you threw things? Did it help you see something break, or you just wanted to destroy something, or you wanted us to draw attention to the fact that you're angry and this helped to get the attention? Speak about the anger. Every time the child gets angry, speak about it. Sit together and say, okay, breaking things, no, let's not do that. We cannot keep breaking things. Now you tell me, when you get angry, what can we do about it? Sit with the child and decide strategies for managing anger, and you have to be the supervisor in that. Somebody asked something about gadgets. So, how to restrict use of electronic gadget? Child is 12-year-old. There is always something one thing very funny about gadgets. I say that, who actually gave the gadget in your child's hand for the first time from home, right? The child took the gadget in hand for the first time from the home. When you have introduced the gadget at home, you had to set time restriction, screen time. There is a screen time for daily time at home. There is a screen time for weekend. Also, you need to understand the fact that, again, it is a model behavior. If we are full time on the gadgets at home, we cannot go back and tell the child, don't be on the gadget. Because when we have a house, the father is on the gadget, mother is on the gadget, the child has nothing else to do, be on the gadget. And this habit is introduced at home. It's still not late. You can sit and say, I think we are using the gadget a lot now, especially since this is lockdown and online classes is a big advantage. You can say that full day you're on the gadget in the school. Yes, there's no other go with that. This is going to affect your mental well-being as well as your eyesight. So we need to bring in a new rule. Suddenly you're going to introduce it. You're going to say, we're going to bring in a new rule where we are going to have to restrict our gadget use. Now you tell the child, you tell me, when do you want to use a gadget? Daily you can use half an hour. That will include your TV, your iPad, whatever. Half an hour a day you can use, but the time you can choose. Weekends, you can be a little more lavish on the time. Say you can watch a movie, or you can sit 1.5 hours on Saturday and 1.5 hours on Sunday. The rule you set, but the time and what the child wants to do, let the child set. Because you're going back and setting new rule, which was probably quite a little lenient. You can always do that. 12 is not too late, but also ensure that you and your husband, wife, your spouse is not on the gadget full time. Because once you're on the gadget full time, it's very difficult to go back and tell the child it spoils your eye, it affects your mental well-being. The child will turn back and ask, then you're doing the same thing, and we have no answer for it, right? So let it be a modeled behavior as well. Hope that helps. Any other questions? Yes, hi. Yeah. Yes.
Ma'am, this is Shagni. Okay, please go ahead, please.
I was asking that my son is very lazy and always see phone and TV. So, ma'am, what should I do after and talking and other things?
1 minute. You said he is lazy. Then he's always watching TV and
he's on phone. It seems
he's okay. Again, the same thing what I said. Number one thing, let's not use the word my child is disobedient, my child is lazy. We are actually being judgmental about the child. And if the child listens to it, it hurts the child's self-esteem a lot. Okay? Because suddenly, we are telling suppose we tell somebody and the child is there. My son is very lazy. If you say that, it hurts the child. So let's not use these words to describe our child. Okay, now, again, set time. We need to be setting our boundaries, and we as parents, we have failed doing that because we think that when we want to do something and the child wants us to pay attention to the child, what we immediately, okay, go play on your phone, and we do our work in peace, forgetting the fact that we have introduced that addiction at home. They have not got addicted at the school. Okay, they have got addicted at home. We need to take responsibility for that. Now set the boundaries. You have to sit and talk and say, we need to do something about this. And we have to be very serious about it. You yourself will have to curb down your mobile usage when the child is around and set an example that I can sit without the mobile. I can do other activities. I'm doing so many things around the house. So you also can do that. Hope that helps. One gentleman had started speaking and then he stopped because somebody else said,
Yeah, ma'am.
yes, please.
Yeah, ma'am. This
Yes,
is
please,
Shagnik
yes.
Bashak.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for this lovely session. My question is, ma'am, that sometimes we see some assignments or tasks where child needs active participation from their parents. Just for example, on last Father's Day, there was an assignment that we need to send sketch of my hand and my son's hand. But currently, I am out of station or out of country. So means they feel bit bad regarding this, but that their father is not with him. So means how should we make them understand, and how should we convince them that it's okay or something like that?
Actually, it's not okay for them, because they don't understand. All my friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we use technology at that point of time? Like, you can probably send your handprints and he can print it out in India. You can do that, right? You can scan your handprint, send it to him on email, ask him to print it out so that his project is also complete. Technically, we can do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we should do something because it's not okay for them. All my friends are bringing and I'm not bringing it, and it is Father's Day. It's important for him. It's important that he celebrates his Father's Day. We have technology, use it. Don't tell him don't tell him it's okay, I'm far away and all, not because from far away he probably knows the technology as much as you know. So let's use the technology and get these things done for them so that they feel happy to celebrate the Father's Day. You were saying something.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. And are we missing any other chats here?
There's few more hands raised.
Yeah, please, let's take it. I cannot see. Yes. Let the questions come. Let the questions come. Any those who have raised hands, one by one, you can unmute and.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I just wanted to know, first of all, I must thank you for your enlightening speech. It helps us so much to raise us towards good parenting. But I just wanted to ask you another question, that how we should handle the situation when the child is pampered by his grandfather or grandmother, and he just denounces the parental control and all that.
Yes, something, this is 50% of joint families, face this issue. Okay. Now, though there are a lot of advantages of joint family, this is one of the main disadvantages I see in joint family, where when the parents are trying to bring in some sort of norms and rules and disciplining, the grandparents are being excessively lenient. This not just affects parenting, this also affects the daughter-in-law, father-in-law, mother-in-law equation. So there are a lot of things here. Ideally, what I would suggest to anybody like this is you need to sit and talk to your in-laws that when we are parenting, okay, we all have the goodwill and, the betterment of the child in mind. So when you're doing something to discipline the child, okay, and if they do against it, the child will definitely listen to the grandparents because that's an easier way out and there is no disciplining there. So you can tell them, let us be on the same page. Like I said in the beginning, the husband wife has to be on the same page. In this case, the husband wife as well as the grandparents have to be on the same page, so that this is for the welfare and benefit of the child. So when I am saying something, please don't let him take shelter with you because then I'm not able to reach him. Okay, you should tell him that I'm not able to reach him and he is taking shelter under you. I'm not hitting him or scolding him. He's taking shelter under you and he's just becoming in such a way that it is going to affect him negatively in the future. Together, we all want to do the best for him. So you have to be with me on this. First of all, we need to have a very strong relationship without some disturbance. Is it on my end? So first of all, we need to have a good relationship with our in-laws enough to be talking about this. And at every point of time when we see our parenting is failing, we have to talk about this. Otherwise, we'll continue living in this house and we might raise a very overly pampered child going into a place where it's going to affect the child. The child is going to feel confused. The child will grow up with always wanting the grandparents' support. And when the grandparents don't remain, then the child is disillusioned. So you have to sit and talk to your in-laws. You have to bring your husband also into this so that all four of you are on the same page. It should not be you against your in-laws. Your husband has to be there too. So it is like 4 people are parenting here. So you are the primary caregiver, right? You are the primary caregiver. Let it happen. It might just help you if I tell you a joke. I belong to a family of 5 girls. I'm a single parent, so I've raised my child at home. So whenever I say something to my child, my father protects. That is a different story because my father protects my daughter. One day I told my father, Daddy, you had 5 chances. Okay, I have only 1. Leave this to me. Just leave this to me. You love her as a grandparent. Let me do the rest of it. It was probably easier for me because I was the daughter. Okay, it may not be as easier for you, but find a way to get this to your in-laws. Otherwise, we may not raise a responsible child.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Please go.
My child always want to watch TV and phone. Whenever I take from here, she start to cry. What should I do?
You have to continue taking it from her because
Yes,
this is
TV and phone.
Yes, TV and phone. You how old is she?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is she?
3 years.
Okay. This is very good. This is very good apt time. There is an echo. Okay, this is a very good time to start
wants to TV and phone and cry from heart to see start to cry.
Yeah. See, if you start encouraging this tantrum, there will be no end to it. So she's only 3 year old. She's only 3 year old. She cannot watch the TV and phone. First time you take it, she will cry. Let her cry. Second time you take it, she will cry. Let her cry. Let her cry. Do not encourage this tantrum. Let her cry. And put the discipline that on every day, this much time you get. Because a 3-year-old doesn't know if you say 1 hour, half an hour, 3-year-old doesn't know. So you can put a timer for the child. So I will give you half an
hour. TV. Every time TV is cartoon.
Switch it off. Switch it off. Switch it off. Let the child cry. Let the child cry sitting there. Switch off the main, take the remote. The child is not supposed to switch it on only with your supervision. Because see, this habit we only have put, right? We only have allowed the child to watch. Somewhere we have forgotten the child is watching and we were doing some other work. So the child knows that the child can watch for more than half an hour. If we had always timed that half an hour, you come back and switch it off, a 3-year-old would never get that habit. But it is not too late. Let us go back and switch off the TV. Very respectfully say that half an hour you get. Don't just snatch very disrespectfully. Tell the child half an hour time is up. That's all you get. Switch off the TV. Let the child cry. The child will cry 1 day, 2 days, 1 week. After that, the child will just give up. Let the child cry, roll. It's okay. Nothing. Just cry. Don't encourage this. Then you will be raising a stubborn child. Okay. Don't encourage.
Okay, ma'am.
Put timing. Put time because 3-year-old is very, very easy to manage. If the child becomes 12 or 13, I'm telling you, it'll be tougher. 3-year-old, you can manage fast. Go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
There's a very interesting question by Swapna something, my child. My son gives me condition that if you give me permission to watch cartoon, I will study well. Otherwise, don't. He is in class 3. It's okay. Tell him, I'm not giving you permission to watch cartoon just to study. Studying is your job because you will get the marks in the class and everybody will know the marks. So if you want to get good marks, you study. There is no condition like if I let you watch cartoon, you will get good marks. Good marks getting you have to do. Cartoon I will show you not for the study's sake, for entertainment's sake. He is already started, blackmailing you. Don't fall for it. There is no, tell him there is no condition. Cartoon is entertainment, studies is studies. Don't mix up both. You will have entertainment every day, okay? And irrespective of this entertainment, you'll have to study, and irrespective of that studies, you will have entertainment. Both will go side by side, but entertainment is not for studies. Both are two different things. Don't fall for that literally blackmailing condition that your child is keeping. Be strong on that. Yes, one more question was there before that, but since I found that very interesting, I think I took it up fast.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes, hello.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, hi. So first of all, it was an interesting session, and thank you for all the guidance. There was just one thing. Me and my wife, we are parenting two daughters, 7 years and 9 years.
Okay.
Now, what we were looking forward for was, is there any insights on how to develop healthy competition? Because at this point in time, they fight for all the wrong stuffs. But how to develop a healthy competition on studies and when you have a couple of kids?
Okay. So, 2 kids. So when you can actually develop healthy competition at home by bringing in group games at home. You, your wife, your 2 daughters sit and play group games like 4 people can play so many games. Monopoly, you can play bank, you can play Ludo and everything. And, let them learn to lose, learn to win. Don't lose for them. When they're losing, they lose. Let them lose happily, okay? Or let them be good losers, okay? And tell them, this time you lose, next time you have to win. So let them work towards winning next time. Never lose for them. Never give way for them. So bring in an activity where you and your wife also can be involved, where you both are also good losers and you are trying to bring in healthy competition. And during that game, use those healthy competitive words that this time I might lose. I know I might lose, but I still will play till the end because I want to finish the game. And even if I finish the game and become loser, I'm okay. But some children, if you've seen, they will give up halfway through if they know they're going to lose. So you and your wife can bring in dialogues that I may lose, but I'm going to complete the game. I'm not going to give up, because that is a good sportsman spirit. So bring in conversation in between your games where your wife and you together can stage a very healthy way of playing competition, because we can bring this into real life, bring these very crucial dialogues. I lose, but I'm not a loser. I've only lost this game. These kind of dialogues, if you bring in, the child will find it easier to have healthy competition.
Okay. Thank you. The only one more thing I just want to add on is any insights on the younger one. Generally, it's so as well. Younger one is more demanding. She's more vociferous. However, the older one remains a little aloof. So we have been trying that. So it has developed, but still the elder one is completely aloof from everyone. She remains very silent. She's an obedient girl, but it's mostly the entire if everything is decided by the younger one. So that
because the younger one is doing the dadagiri at home, because somewhere she's been favored by being the. Have you or your wife any time pampered and favored her? Because see, in India we have this culture everywhere, okay, that we somehow show a little attention and affection to the younger one. Even if there are 5, the youngest one will get little attention and extra affection. So have you at any point of time done that, because of which the younger one feels that I am the more favored one, so I get to make the decisions because my parents favor me, and the child does that, and the older one understanding that, okay, she is the more favored and more loved and pampered, doesn't make any difference whatever I do. This could be one reason for sibling rivalry. Both the child has to be alive. We have a tendency in India to pamper the younger one more, which just happens naturally. We may not plan it. And verbally we say, no, both the children are alike for us. But I have seen many houses where the parents say both the children are alike. I've seen in the eye that the pampering is there for the younger one, while the older one is asked to shoulder the responsibility of the younger child. So the older one is actually missing out on the childhood also, because have the responsibility of the younger child also, while the younger child is taking a little bit of dadagiri, thinking that, oh, my parents are favoring me, I can, outshine the younger one. See if this kind of dynamic is working at home.
Oh, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. There's a very interesting question that I want to take up here. Madam, my daughter is 5-year-old. She's very good, but having phobia in doing certain things, example, cutting nails, answering, communicating with new people in a gathering. This is the child has a very typical social phobia. Also, the child has some kind of, something is troubling the child. Maybe this has to be taken up privately in counseling, because cutting nails is the child feels a fear of cutting nails. Okay, answering, communicating with new people is a social phobia that some children will have. But things like cutting nails means she is afraid that something would attack her or trouble her. This is to be taken at a deeper level. This would require some amount of counseling for the parent as well. So let's take that privately. Okay, whoever is sent that. Yes, somebody else asked something in between. I missed that because I was reading. Go ahead. Who asked?
And there's one thing. Today we are having this session live in Facebook and in Chetana TV as well. So I've got some questions from there. So the first question which I've got is that how to increase concentration level of children of smaller age.
That's smaller age. Okay.
And the second question which has come over is that kids are very emotional and she seeks attention by crying, and she's really gets upset with smaller things. So there are two questions which has come from different platforms.
So the first one, let's answer is increase concentration. Introduce some concentration related activities and game for the child. Okay, we cannot first itself introduce concentration activity in academics. So to increase concentration there, we can introduce some games that requires concentration on completing it. At the same time, the child enjoys it. It engages the child there. So maybe some puzzle, maybe some brain building activities, maybe something that you can find out, something that is enjoyable too. Okay, so that will help develop the concentration of it. It should be enjoyable. At the same time, you should make the child sit there and think and get to a result. So find out some games and activities like that, get the child into that. The second question, my child is very emotional. It is okay to be emotional, because emotion means several kinds of emotions are there in the child. But she also said that she cries to get her things done. Was that the question?
No, she just get emotional for smaller things, and people give attention to that a lot. So she's emotional. That's the primary question is all about.
The thing is, she is actually trying to draw attention to her. And when she realized that by talking or her normal behavior, attention is not coming to her, she started introducing crying as an emotion to draw attention. So basically, what she wants is for you to give her attention, one-on-one attention, spend time with her. So we had talked about, 5 ways children receive love. Okay, this child falls in the category of quality time. You need to spend time with the child, because somehow she's drawing attention by, she knows that if she cries loudly, she will get attention. So basic thing is she wants you to give her attention, one-on-one attention. In that one-on-one attention, give her one-on-one attention and try to figure out what exactly is troubling her. For all you know, it may just be attention, that she just wants you to spend quality time with her one-on-one. And every child desires that. So this child requires more one-on-one time. Spend time with her doing anything. It doesn't have to be a specifically planned activity. Maybe just sit, you may be reading something, she may be reading something, but be with her together. She needs your presence and your one-on-one attention. So let's go for the last question.
Anybody has a question?
One last question. Something was there on the chat.
In fact, I will have to ask a question.
Perfect. Please go ahead. So your question is last. Great. Let's do
Yes,
yours.
I'll keep it for the last one.
Yes,
see, we parents have guilt at times. So
guilt of what?
See, we parents at times can't give time much, and we feel guilty about it. And we at times compete ourselves with others as well. And we think that probably the other mother is doing greater than me. So how to deal with the guilt as a parent?
How do you know the other mother is doing better than? How do you know I'm doing better than you?
That is something which you impose on yourself, actually.
That's because we are setting a benchmark for us. We are setting benchmark with numbers that this parent must be spending 4 hours with the child. This parent must be doing this for the child, that for the child. First of all, the need of your child is different from the need of the other parent's child. You have to give to your child what your child requires, right? The other parent's child is immaterial here. Now, you also need to understand that you are a working mother, and the child needs to understand and respect you for the fact that you are a working mother. You may be comparing yourself with a homemaker mother. I'm not saying there is anything wrong in the homemaker mother, but you may be comparing. But I've heard it from a lot of homemakers that they also cannot give the kind of quality time we are talking about as working mothers, because they have so much to do there as well. So let's not compare us with anybody. All that you have to do is and understand is, are you fulfilling the need of your child in terms of time given to your child, in terms of love given to your child, in terms of the developmental activities you're doing, in terms of academics, the other emotional needs, the physical needs, financial needs? Are you fulfilling all this irrespective of other parents? They don't matter. Okay, because if you are fulfilling this for your child, you're doing a great job. You don't have to fall into the guilty category. Nobody can assess you as a mother other than yourself. Okay, only you can someone is talking. Only you can assess yourself as a mother. The other person cannot assess you as a mother, because your child's need and that person's child's need is totally different. If you fulfill your child's need and you're raising a mentally, physically healthy child, you're doing your job well. That's it. No, there's no need to be guilty about it.
Great. So there is no perfect parenting. So we are not in a rat race and not in any competition with each other for that matter. So it's great having you with us. It's an excellent session.
Thank you so much.
And
great. How many we had? How many were there with
100
us?
Participants, and, and we had Facebook Live, we have YouTube Live, and as well as Ketana TV. So whoever has missed out probably can catch up the session in those platforms. In fact, we would thank you, and anybody else having any question, please drop in a line to us so that we can actually seek help from you and pass on the solution and the answers to them. So
also, I would like to add the fact that it's not just I come live like this. I also have a parenting one-on-one sessions. Anybody wants can contact me. We can take it at one, because just one word solution or one sentence solution will not do for some people. We would need to look into the larger perspective. We would need to work on it. For such people, you can contact me and we can work on the parenting, not on the child. Parenting requires work, not the child. So we'll work on our parenting and see how we can raise wonderful children and have a wonderful generation growing up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm leaving the session, okay?
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for being there with us.